I just, wake up smiling. I'm like, let's go, let's do it. Let me see where else I can help Lego and stuff. So it's been a crazy journey, and I really appreciate everything you've done for me, Seth. Because if I didn't find your course or your YouTube videos and all that, like I don't know where I would be. Like I guess I might be back in that manufacturing, factory, huffing chemicals all day long and just hating every day and stuff. So no, yeah, it just, words can't describe, how much appreciation I have for you and, what you're doing and all that. So thank you, Seth.
You're welcome. That's great. I'm moved. Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest, Savier, who was a student studying biomedical engineering and discovered he actually didn't like it that much, and discovered digital marketing and discovered he loved that a lot. He took my course and got an entry-level job making between $30,000 and $50,000 a year. And a year later is now working at a job where he's making between $60,000 and $85,000 a year. So he has actually leveraged up his initial experience from the course into a very solid career very quickly. So I'm very excited to share his story with you. Thank you for being here, Savier.
No, thanks for having me, Seth. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. So, and I'm also very excited because I had to redo the intro actually, because Savier actually lives in my hometown of Rochester, New York, which I was like, that's awesome. I don't think I've interviewed anyone who lived in my hometown before. So why don't you tell people a little about your current job that you have right now?
Definitely. So my official title is Senior SEO Analyst, and the company that I work at is it's Reprise, and they're actually headquartered in New York City, but they're actually global. They have offices here in New York. They have offices in California, Chicago. And so my position, I'm fully remote, and I'm actually basically I'm helping out with the Lego account that we're working with. So
that's so cool. I should have mentioned that in the intro. I actually just watched a documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you guys have watched those documentaries, The Toys That Made Us. And they have these specials about like, He-Man, Ninja Turtles, and Lego. And Lego has this like 50-year history. It's like a Dutch company, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're Dutch.
And I mean, they've just been a powerhouse in the toy industry for years. So for you to be able to work on them, especially with only having a year of experience, that's amazing. Can you tell us anything about that account? I mean, I know you can't divulge too much, but like, obviously this is a big account. What are you doing on it? What's it like?
Yeah, no, you're just definitely a lot of meetings and all that. It's such a big company. So you're talking to people from different departments and all that, whether it's their social media, whether it's their ads department, and you're just trying to have a balanced, like holistic approach in their digital marketing strategy. And so I guess my team, we're focused on the SEO, so we're just trying to optimize certain listings for products on different like e-retail platforms, and just trying to give them the best suggestions and recommendations possible. So
that's awesome, man. Did you play with Legos growing up?
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely grew up playing with them. And it's funny because actually for my girlfriend, I actually got these like Harry Potter Legos from Barnes and Nobles the other day. Unfortunately, didn't get like a discount or anything, even though I'm working with Lego, but I did get them, and it was pretty fun playing with them, setting up some Harry Potter sets. So.
That's awesome, man. I mean, that's like a three-dimensional experience most people don't have. I mean, I work with, some people you're working with a plumber or something. That's one thing, but it's very exciting to be able to actually like engage with the product that you are promoting. And especially such a big client so early in your career. That's very exciting. So let's go back. I know everybody always wants to know, like, how did you get to, making, over $60,000 a year within 1 year after taking the course? So why don't you tell people a little about what you were doing when you found the course? I believe you were at RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology. And I just smiled because, again, it's from my hometown. So tell us what was going on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, so I got into biomedical engineering, because again, society says engineering is a very safe career. It's very lucrative and all that. You can make some pretty good money with that type of career. So, with that, was very interested in it. And then also just the idea of like helping people, because in biomedical engineering, you're creating pharmaceuticals and you're creating, prosthetics, medical devices. So kind of like putting those two together and all that, I can make a good living, but also I can help people as well. I was like, okay, let's go for it. And the thing is, going through the coursework, and the thing is like RAT, they require you do a year's worth of internships or co-ops. And co-ops are basically you're just working for companies and all that, helping them with different tasks or things in the engineering field. And so I was about to graduate near like the fall or winter of 2019. But the thing is, I kind of needed a little bit more co-op experience. I needed about like 3 or 4 months co-op experience before they could actually give me the degree. So my coursework was completely done. I just needed to finish up that co-op experience. And I ended up getting a co-op at, basically it was like a manufacturing type area space in Avon. And there I was on the manufacturing floor. I was basically just surrounded by chemicals all day, 8 hours a day, filling up bottles with different chemicals. You had to wear a mask and all that because you couldn't really like breathe that stuff in, even though I basically was breathing it in. So it just wasn't really a good experience for me. Really didn't enjoy it. And I was like, I kind of need to pivot to another field. So that's where I was like on YouTube trying to see if there was another field that I could possibly pivot into. And that's where I had found your course, Seth. And so I was like, okay, because I had never really heard about digital marketing beforehand. And then your course and what you preach, I was like, wow, this actually makes sense. This is actually kind of a cool field and all that. Working on websites, social media ads and all that. So that's kind of like where I delved into, digital marketing. And that was pretty much like November, December of 2019 was when I took your course and, started my journey. So
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. It's really interesting. I asked you this before, like, so they do in college is like you pick this major based on no firsthand experience of what the major really is or what it's going to lead to. It just sounds good. And this is where millions of people are spending billions of dollars, trillions of dollars on this. You go through all your coursework, you go through years of schooling, and then you do this internship, which is a good thing. I'm glad they had you do that. So you get to see what the job is actually like. Now, my question for you was, if you had done this internship in the beginning, would you have stuck with that major?
probably not. And all that. Yeah, definitely not. Just being exposed. And I actually did another internship before that one. And that was another internship where I was like in a lab and I was working with a lot of chemicals. I was working with silver, paste and stuff. That one, I just was not really feeling it and all that. And a lot of people you work with, they're all like in their 50s and 60s. They're a lot older. You couldn't really relate that much with them and all that. So I kind of already had like some red flags going on with that internship. But then this one was kind of like the icing on the cake. And I was like, okay, yeah, definitely I need to transition out of this type of field. So
yeah, absolutely. And I just think it's funny because this is a lot of people I'm sure can relate because I mean, college is set up so improperly. It's almost, I say, it's like you go into a car dealership, you don't see the car, you don't drive the car, you don't know anything about the car, but you're going to sign the paperwork, pay for the car, and then at the very end, here's your car, and you're like, if you don't like the car, tough noogies, because you paid for it. So you just paid for this degree, or your parents did or something, and then you're like, oh, I have to find it in a new field. Thankfully, digital marketing does exist. And I would mention too, I mean, culture, I'm like the thing about a digital marketing agency and these jobs that you may have coworkers of all different ages, all different backgrounds, but the work itself is what makes it so fulfilling. So so what happened? So you found the course, and then what happened?
Yeah. So again, that was like November, December. So I took the course, delved into the material, and I was, didn't know where I wanted to go, whether I wanted to go into like PPC or SEO or social media, but, I just know that I was just open or hungry. I'm like, all right, whatever it is, like whatever offer I can get in the beginning and all that, I'm just going to go with it, test it out. And then from there, maybe try the other different fields and all that. But part of your course is they kind of, you want us to get, experience and all that, go out and get the experience. So that's kind of like what I did. And so between January of 2020 to about June, I was kind of like going out, getting my own experience. And the reason why it took a little bit longer was that was kind of like when COVID kind of hit and all that, which was like that February or March of 2020 and all that. So there was like a lot of things up in the air, people not really sure what's going on. But I was just kind of like waiting to test waters, and I was just like, do I really want to go into this or not? But I'm like, let me just jump all in. So what I did in the beginning was I actually joined.
Can you pause your thought? I have to, there's someone at my door.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Just pause your thought. Sorry, guys. Somebody was at my door. Pardon the interruption. Savier, please continue.
Yeah, no, thanks, Seth. So basically, between January of 2020 to June of 2020, I was just going out, generating my own experience. So I was able to actually help out a bunch of clients, about 6 clients in a wide variety of different fields within digital marketing. So I was able to help a CBD client. They were doing like e-commerce. I was able to help them with like their SEO. I was able to help about 4 clients with their PPC. They were more like nonprofits, where they were able to have like that grant where they had about like $10,000 per month in Google ad spend. So I was able to help with them with their PPC, and I was able to help another client with more of their social media, creating like content calendars, helping them generate like Facebook ads. So it was like a wide variety of experiences I was able to get through, which was great in the beginning. And after I felt comfortable, after like that 5 or 6 months, I was like, okay, let me go out and let me just apply, see if I am able to get like my first job in digital marketing and stuff. So I started applying in the beginning of June, like the first week of June. And so between June and August, I had sent out about 500 applications and all that through like LinkedIn, through Indeed, reaching out to recruiters and all that. And I don't know how many like interviews I've done. I probably had done like dozens of interviews, but basically at the end of that, I had gotten a job offer at CGI Communications, which is a digital marketing agency here in Rochester, New York. And it's actually a funny story because I had, went through the ringer with them. I'd gone through like 4 interviews, and it was funny because I'd gotten to that final stage. And actually, I didn't get the position. And I'm sorry, this position was the SEO specialist position. And I actually didn't get the position. They actually gave it to somebody else. But they were like, hey, we really like your background. We like your energy and all that. We would like to actually keep your information on file because we think we're going to have like a social media, like associate's position coming up that's going to be available within the next couple of weeks and all that. And me, I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to do SEO. But I mean, hey, I just want to get my foot in the door in digital marketing and all that. So I'll go with the social media associate position. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll go with it. But it was actually funny because actually another person in their SEO department actually put his 2-week notice in. And so then basically another SEO position was opening up, and they're like, oh, hey, remember when we mentioned about the social media one? Well, actually another SEO specialist position opened up. Do you want that one? And I'm like, definitely, and all that. So it actually kind of worked out, and able to get that SEO position at CGI Communications. So
that's awesome. Now, and also, I wanted to speak to you. You sent out 500 applications. I just want to preface this, guys, to let you know. Savier is one of these students who I did not know was even in the course, because remember, this is an online course, and some people, you have to participate, right? So some people just do their thing, and it sounds like you were very motivated. You did your thing. You followed the instructions. Never reached out for any feedback. I don't think you got feedback on the site audit or the PPC spreadsheet or anything. But what happened was, I was doing a video walkthrough and I mentioned CGI Communications, which is where you ended up working. And then Savier messaged me on LinkedIn, and he's like, oh, by the way, I've been working at that company. And I was like, I never heard from you. So just to give you guys a sense of things. First of all, I think it's great that you were so proactive in applying. I don't know what your resume looked like. I don't know what your interviews are like. I do recommend, my students typically get responses faster than that if they come to me or my coaches for help with the resume and the interview, just to give you guys a sense of things. So I think you should be willing to send out 500 resumes, but sometimes it's you don't have to. I've had a lot of different students, and I don't think I've heard of anybody sending out that many. But I acknowledge you for being so persistent. And I think it's funny though that you got the job in your hometown after sending out all the resumes. Were you sending out the site audit and everything like I explained with the
Yep. I had the site audit, the Excel sheets and all that for the PPC stuff. So I mean, the thing is, like, after I took your course in like November and December, I actually kind of like stopped like participating in your course, in your group and all that. I kind of like just went and did my own thing. So I definitely will say as well that I probably could have got that job, my first job, a lot faster and a lot easier if I, did what you just mentioned, all that, reach out to you and all that, reach out to the chat and all that for help and stuff. And the thing is, like, I know your course recommends building the website. I unfortunately did not build the website, so that's probably another reason why it took so long to get that first job, and I probably didn't have to send so many resumes and all that. So definitely everybody else should definitely follow each and every step that you say in the course and all that, because it would be probably a lot faster, a lot easier for you to get first job than me. So
well said. Thank you. And it's true. It's just true. But I think, you're just an example of like you can get the results. It might just take more work. I've had, James Chen, I remember, his name, a student of mine, was like, oh, I've taken the course like 3 times. He was in there for a while. And I remember like kind of checking out his LinkedIn and checking out, I was like, it doesn't look like you're following my instructions. They're not difficult.
Yeah.
And then following instructions is a skill set in and of itself. I learned that myself. When I was in my early 20s, I was terrible at it. But once the students do that, then they start to get the results. But it sounds like you went your own way, but ultimately it was, led to very happy things. So the other thing that I thought was really great is that I actually worked at this company, CGI Communications, 20 years ago. I mentioned it in the walkthrough, but I think it's hilarious. This guy is still doing his thing. What's his name? The owner?
I think it's Dave. I had to look back, and I don't remember off the top of my head.
Weren't you saying he still does these inspirational speeches in the morning?
He does. I'm just not good with names and all that. Yeah. So
I don't remember his name either, but I worked at this company back in the early 2000s when it was still like, I was doing like I was doing probably like spreadsheet stuff or data entry. Remember, I didn't have any skills, guys. But I know they did video, and I wanted to get into their video thing, but this is before Google or anything. And this guy, though, every morning he would come in and give us like a big pep talk. He'd do like, I don't know, he obviously was studying motivational speaking or something, because he'd give like a little anecdote or a little story to try to inspire everybody. And I think it's awesome that 20 years later, he's still doing that. Yeah. That's just really funny. I'm like, yeah, I worked there for like, I don't know how, wasn't very long. I was probably, I don't know, it was probably like 22 or something like that. Nice. So that's a blast from the past. So now, all right, now you're at CGI Communications. You've gotten the SEO specialist role that you wanted, which is awesome. And by the way, guys, that's another thing why, if you don't get a job, remember, don't be attached to an outcome. Just be out there, be playing the game. You never know. There's a lot of stories like that where this position wasn't available, but that position to open up. I got a job like that. I applied for a management position at one company, and they said, you're not qualified, but we have this other position that was even a better fit. You don't know who's going to quit. You don't know what's going to open up. Just keep connecting with people and putting your value out there. So what was it like working at that job?
It was great and all that. It was fully remote and all that, so I didn't have to commute or go to the office or anything like that. So that was great. And as an SEO analyst or specialist over there, you're doing a lot of technical audits and all that. Most of the clientele were your local professional services, so your local dentist, lawyer, real estate agents. So I'm definitely working with a lot of those local. And I think what they had say that we had over like 4,000 like clients and all that we were working with. So it was definitely a lot of businesses, and it was just like a lot of exposure and all that, working or being able to work on so many different industries and niches and all that. So it was definitely a great experience. And I think one thing that I liked most about CGI was they actually just kind of like gave you the room, or just gave you the tools and resources to like try different things. Like their motto is that they always want to be evolving, always changing and growing and all that. So if there was like a project that I kind of wanted to go and pursue on my own, that they kind of like gave me full reins to do it. So they're like, oh, do you want to test this new tool? Here's some, client websites and all that. Go for it. I mean, obviously they got permission from the clients to do it. But basically I was able to go and test certain things. And I actually really just embodied the whole like personal case studies. And that was kind of like one of the reasons why I won Employee of the Month in February of 2021. And it was actually kind of cool because it was 2 Employee of the Months in February 2021. One was like the general company-wide Employee of the Month. And then there was also like a department type Employee of the Month. So which they said had never been done before, for someone to win like the Employee of the Month in digital marketing department, and then also to win like the general Employee of the Month as well. And that was just because some of my case studies came in that I was working on for months and months, and the results were really good, that we were actually able to scale then offer those as new services to our clients. So
that's incredible, man. And I'm going to dig into that a little bit more, because it sounds like, well, there are two things I wanted to say. Number one, and one thing I forgot about your application process that I wanted to mention. You forgot to remind people this was during COVID. Forgot about that. I mean, definitely. That's another reason for, I mean, between January and June of 2020 was like,
nobody knew what was happening.
It was crazy, business. Right. Actually, at that point in time, the number of digital marketing jobs because I keep track of this on LinkedIn, dropped from, it was about 50 or 60,000 a day in January 2020 to about 25,000 a day during the height of the pandemic, because everybody was freaking out. Everybody was cutting their budgets. So that's another factor in what you're talking about. Right. Now it's absolutely insane. There's hundreds of thousands of open jobs. So that's just worth something I wanted to remind people of. But now you're talking about doing all this cool stuff at your job. I mean, how were you able to jump in? Did you get some training? Like, you'd only worked on your own clients, your own experience in the course. How was that transition?
There was training. It was about 3 or 4 weeks of training where they would kind of like teach me all the different, systems that they use, the way that they kind of communicate. They use a lot of like Google products, G Suite and all that. So like just learning how to do that and just like working in a team, because again, like by myself, it's just all on me, doing the digital marketing services. Whereas like transitioning into an agency, I'm working in a team now with other SEO specialists, working with other departments, PPC, social media and all that. So that was definitely like something I had to like learn more, is just to be able to communicate. And also we had account managers that they were basically like client facing, and they were like the bridge of communication between, the SEO specialists and the recommendations we provide, and, communicating that to the clients and all that. So I think that was like one of the biggest things, was like learning how to work in a team setting at an agency. So
that's awesome, man. And that's another one of the benefits of working at these agencies. And you can see, guys, they will train you, or they will take you where you're at, which they could see you've had basic experience, you understand the language, you've done some great things with your own clients. And even if these clients, whether they're paid or not, you have the experience, and then they're going to help bring you to the next level. And the team environment is a skill set, and you'll be asked about that too. I mean, just the experience of working with other people with the same goal is a great experience to have. So, and congratulations on being Employee of the Month. That's awesome.
Definitely.
So you worked there. Now let's bring people to your current position. Like, how did that happen? How long were you at CGI?
Yeah, I was there for about 10 or 11 months. Because it was basically, so I started there August of 2020. And then in June 2021, that's where I had kind of like felt comfortable, that I was like, hey, I feel comfortable in what I've learned here. And all the case studies, the awards I've gotten here. Let me see if I can like leverage this experience into like a higher paying position and all that. And I kind of noticed on LinkedIn that the opportunities in digital marketing were actually starting to grow now. Whereas before they weren't as high and all that. So I was like, yeah, let me go for it. And so basically, June 2021, first week, I was just sending out applications. I sent out about 100 applications it was just through LinkedIn. Before I had used like ZipRecruiter, Indeed, LinkedIn, but this one I was just focused mostly on LinkedIn. And so I sent about 100, 120 applications, and I was kind of being a bit lazy because I would just only send them through like the easy apply, because like the time frame I put in my head was like, all right, it took me about like 3 months to get my first job. Let me give myself that same time frame. So maybe, between June of 2021 to August 2021, hopefully I can get another position and all that. So I just sent out kind of like these feeler applications out there and all that through easy apply through the LinkedIn. Because it just takes a few minutes. It autofills your information and then it's just boom, send them out rapid fire type of thing. So, but basically, and I recorded all of my numbers, but basically, so I sent out about 100 applications. I did about 42 interviews within the month of June. And yeah, at the end of June, I had gotten the job offer for the position I'm at now. So
That's wow. That's much faster than you expected. And by the way, guys, if you're watching this, and I'm actually going to be talking about this in the course, like, well, if you have the experience, the easy apply can be all right. What I recommend in the course is actually not using easy apply so much. I've had some students suggest it because they've had luck, but because it autofills stuff. Yeah. You sometimes you don't have the opportunity to necessarily. Also, I believe you have your, whatever resume you've got on there, and I always recommend people customize everything for every job application, because I found that's kind of like quality over quantity versus bulk applying. It's like. But I mean, yeah, if you have a job and you're doing, your strategy was a sound strategy, especially if you already have that experience. But I really recommend whatever field you're in, guys, and you're watching this, even if you're not in digital marketing, customize the resume and the cover letter and whatever you have. But I think so. That's a lot of interviews too. Were this like, when you say 42 interviews, you mean full on like multiple round interviews? You're doing like phone screenings and you're kind of like, wow, maybe this isn't the right fit, kind of a thing.
That was including both. I was including both the phone screening interviews with also like the full blown interviews in that 42 number. So and I was actually, when I had gotten that job offer, I was actually deep in like interview rounds with some other companies and all that. But this company that I'm at now, they saw the potential, they liked me a lot. So they were like the first one to like slip it over and all that to me. And I had reached out to the other companies to see if they, if they were making a decision soon. And they were just like, no, we're not making decisions soon. And, might be another week or two and all that. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm comfortable with this company and their culture and what they do. They already slipped me the job offer and stuff. Let me just take it, go for there. So
that's fantastic, man. And I love it. It's that when you're interviewing this much, guys, it's really a great feeling to have multiple interviews going on, because you can leverage that. I mean, the company that hires you knew you were interviewing with other companies, and I'm sure that influenced them, because they needed somebody who could do the work. And it's really remarkable. I mean, we do so many of these interviews, on YouTube, but I mean, to go from no experience to getting that entry-level job to within a year making 60, 65 to 80, like, you haven't told us the exact salary, but it's over 60.
Yeah.
Is unbelievable. It's not something that happens in other fields that quickly. Yeah. Unless maybe engineering, and then you're dealing with years of training, and maybe you're on a factory floor inhaling chemicals. Like, it's not worth 60,000 a year. You need to be getting paid $1 million a year to deal with that. So that's awesome, man. So what was it like working at the new company? So you're a totally different pay level, and you're working on $1 million, $1 billion companies. What was that transition like?
Yeah, you would think, because again, you're transitioning from like these local professional, these dentists, lawyers, real estate agents to more of just, this one mega big account. And you would kind of think that it's a lot more intense, the culture and all that. But it was actually, it's just way more relaxed and all that. Everybody's like chill. Nobody's really stressing, as long as we get like our deadlines, everything's good and all that. And a lot of meetings, because there's just a lot of communication that's involved. But just everything's relaxed, chill. They had training. What I liked about their training is they had video courses that were able to kind of like dive in, a lot of onboarding courses to teach us what we need. So that was awesome as well. So, and because like CGI, it was more just like word of mouth type of training. They didn't really have documentation going on and all that. So here it was all documentation, videos. So, say you kind of like forgot something, or like, hey, maybe I need to touch up on something, you can go back to that course and relearn it, retake it, take better notes and all that. So, and I've only been here for about 6-7 weeks, but I've learned so much, especially just with Excel and all that, using a lot of Excel, VLOOKUPs, pivot tables. So just doing a lot, and yeah, no, just open to learning more here and seeing what more they have to offer. So
That's awesome, man. And the culture there sounds really good too. And you're still remote, right?
oh yeah, yep, still fully remote and all that. And yeah, it just, yeah, everybody's just very relaxed and they're very just open. They're like, hey, if you need any help, don't be afraid to ask any questions and all that. So everybody's just willing to help me grow and be better. So
That's great, man. And that's again another thing I ask you guys to look for when you're looking for your jobs is that type of supportive environment. That's I was watching a video with Aaron Clary, who's a friend of mine, and he was talking about how like having a good boss. He says having a good boss, but I mean, I would also say having a good work environment. He said you should add 30% to your salary in your mind to account for the value of having that. Because it's like he was answering a question about like somebody said like, oh, should I move to another city and get this new job for more money? But I don't know what the boss is like. He's like, well, that's the equation, because having this positive work environment is just it's worth more than money, but you're also being paid very well. So that's great, man. And
I'm sorry.
what is this? What was that?
Oh, I was going to mention one thing too, not only about my coworkers, but just like up top. So basically this week, they actually gave all the employees a week off, as like an employee appreciation week. So basically everybody's off, out of the office, they're not working and all that. And, again, they just wanted to preach just like how important the employees have been, through this pandemic. And they just want everybody to relax, have a good time, telling us like the company is doing well and stuff. So I think that was like another, way of them showing like, hey, we're a very relaxed company and all that, and we care about you guys. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing that they had done for us.
That is very cool, guys. That is, this is a new thing, and that's a sign of a great company. I think I read that Nike just did that. I think it's becoming more popular to do that. But again, that's the kind of place you want to work at. And it's and as I said, this type of thing with paid time off is very common in digital marketing. I even had a student who was telling me that like her boss or her supervisor is like on people to take paid time off. Like, hey, can you imagine being called into your boss's office or like into a meeting? Like, listen, we need to have a talk about your situation. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to get reprimanded. Like, listen, you're not taking enough days off.
That's funny.
What about, I was just going to ask, how has this affected you personally? Like, what does your family or your parents think of it?
Yeah, and I mean, they're all shocked, I think. And it's interesting with like family because, of course, they care about me, they support me and all that. But they definitely were shocked when I kind of told them in the beginning that I'm transitioning, out of biomedical engineering into digital marketing. A lot of them are just like, what are you doing? Like biomedical engineering, it's engineering. Like that's where the security and the money's at. How are you going to give that all away? Or it's like, hey, you're at college for 4 or 5 years. Like, you're just going to like waste all those years and all that. And So at first, they were definitely, not the most supportive and all that. But again, I was just like, I'm going to go for it. I'm super interested in this field. I've seen all your videos, all the testimonials of previous people who've, done engineering, or they were in a totally different industry, and they just all made that leap and transition, and, they have gotten some type of success. So, and that's what I did, even though I had like my family and friends kind of just like try to push me back and into engineering. I just kept on replaying, kept on rewatching your videos, those testimonials and all that, just to like keep me going so I don't get discouraged and all that. Because yeah, I mean, definitely you can get discouraged when your loved ones are telling you like, hey, no, don't do that and stuff. That's new, that's weird and all that. Don't go back and stuff. So yeah, no, definitely. My family at first, they were shocked, and then they were shocked even more so that I was going to leave my first position that I was at CGI. They're like, what, you're going to leave and all that? Like, that's not going to look good to people. Like, you only been there for whatever, 10, 11 months and stuff. Like, don't hop around from company to company type of thing. And they're like, what, you think you're going to make like, 20, $30,000 more? Like, that's unheard of and all that. Like, it's good just to get a couple of few $1,000s, increase in your salary per year and all that. Like, that's insane and all that. So, but again, I didn't let that discourage me. I'm just like, I'm going to keep on trucking, keep on going. And, when I showed them that second job offer, it was funny because actually the day that I got the second job offer at, the job offer for my position that I have now, it was actually on my grandma's birthday. Well, Nana, I call her Nana and stuff. So it was on her birthday. So it was actually funny because that night we had a party. So I went, and then I put my job offer, I printed it out, I put it in an what's called like a card and all that. And I like, gave it to her, and she opened it, and she was like losing her mind. She's like, oh no, it's like, wow, that's so crazy. Savier got, this new job offer, and they're like, for how much? And they're like, what, that much? Like, that's crazy. So that was like the big reveal and all that. And, afterwards, everybody's kind of, on board now with digital marketing. So
that's awesome, man. I'm going to have to cut that into the interview earlier because it's just really, you captured a lot of really awesome things in that story. And I know a lot of people can relate. And I think if you're watching this, replay this video too. Now you can be one of those videos people replay, because I get it. Yeah. Nobody knows about this field. People have these diluted, outdated ideas, about engineering being this wonderful career. And it's not. I mean, for some people, like there are some people where engineering is going to be a perfect fit, but it's not that common, and I've honestly, in my whole life, I know so many ex-engineers. One of my good friends from LA, who's now a special effects artist and an editor who helped me with my movie, actually was a civil engineer for many years. And he transitioned into video stuff. And nice. I just think it's awesome you had the determination to be true to yourself. And that's another thing about college that people get stuck in, because it's such a, okay, you guys know how I feel about college, but this is an angle people don't talk about. It's like being a gambler, and you've invested all this money, right? So now you're like, you made a bad call. You bought a bad stock, right? And so many people get stuck in it. That's why people defend it too. Like, people literally, I know people who have like gotten terrible degrees. They're in debt. They're miserable. They're broke. They're working bad jobs. They'll defend the degree because they're like, well, I learned so much by the experience, because it's so painful to admit, to cut their losses. So you put in 4 years into this degree. And I get where and your family's on your case, like, oh my God, you just flushed all that time down the toilet. And that's like a baller move to cut your losses. Cause like you could have doubled down and been like, I've already put in all this time. I'm going to work in this field. I'm going to work in the factory. I'm going to suck in those fumes.
Or I double down and be like, oh, I'm going to go for my master's or my PhD and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many people who are in grad school are in that situation. It's sad. It's like, I mean, we talked with, though that's really funny. Savier and Javier. Javier, not Javier. Javier, my student. Okay. My student. I interviewed him a while ago. He was in grad school, doing something with chemistry or biology or something, and he was miserable. And he had the same thing with his family too. They were like, "You got to stay in school and all that," and he got into digital marketing. That's funny. Just do an interview with the three of Savier and Javier.
Javier. That's funny.
But it's inspiring, and I hope you guys watching this are inspired. We'll just keep pumping out more and more examples of this. People disregarding old stupid ways of thinking for new intelligent ways of thinking. And I think it's very moving that you shared that with your grandma and your family.
Definitely. Yeah, and also I just want to say one more thing about like the family. So I have 6 siblings. So I have 5 sisters and 1 brother. And I'm the oldest and all that. So and that's one thing that I've really been trying to do is trying to like get them into like digital marketing and all that, because a lot of them, they're in middle school, high school, and they're not really sure what they want to do in their careers and all that. And I'm really trying to like make an emphasis like, hey guys, digital marketing is this awesome field and stuff. Like, look what I've been able to do and all that. Like you guys could all, possibly do the same thing that I did and stuff. And so really just trying to like, drop those seeds in and all that and try to also get in the field. Cause I don't want to see them, do the same thing that I did where, they feel like they want to do another field or major and all that. They go to college for 4 years and then they realize they're like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore type of thing. Like, I don't want them to do that type of trap and stuff. So, so definitely I've been putting emphasis to teach like my younger siblings to also get into this field as well. So
awesome, man. Bring them into the course.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's actually what I was going to do and stuff, was bring them in. So actually, I have a few of them starting to do like the Google certifications and all that, like the Google Ads search and video and all that. So
how old are these siblings of yours that you're doing that
with? 2 of them just graduated high school, and the other ones are like 14, 15 and all that. So
that's great.
So they're all in that high school.
This is how it's going to change, guys. The collective, like the people who are out, like it's going to change through these types of word of mouth, family connections, and through, grassroots type thing. Like the general population is just so embedded in these stupid way of thinking about college and stuff. And, that's why I don't try to argue with people, but someone like you taking the time to share this with your siblings, that's great. I'm happy to see that. And, now you can help them save them a lot of money, time, and
absolutely,
and get them started a lot faster. So
definitely.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And, what was I going to say? I think what I was going to ask you this, because you said your background, like you have a very interesting background. Like, do you think your parents being from other countries affected their attitude towards school at all? And can you tell people a little bit about your background, like where your folks are from?
Yeah, no, definitely. So my name's Savier. It is French, but I'm not French. Actually, my mom, she's from Vietnam, and my dad, he's from Dominican Republic. And so my mom, she was born during like the Vietnam War. And so my grandpa, he my now grandpa, but at the time he worked in the US Army, and he was over there in Vietnam, and he, found her, and he actually adopted her and brought her to the United States with him, and, adopted her as one of his daughters. And then my dad, he actually was born and raised in Dominican Republic until he was about like 17 or 18. And then he actually came to United States. And it was funny because they actually both met at Brockport University, which is about an hour away from Rochester. And, they met there, and, they had me. So, so that's a little bit of my background, but, definitely I believe just like where they came from, or, their experiences definitely kind of like wanted me to go down that route, because they also got 4-year degrees in colleges and all that. So they're just like, hey, this is the way to do it. You go to college, you get your degree and all that, and then you have your career and all that. Especially my dad, he always wanted his like kids to always kind of do better than what he did and his parents did and all that. So he's like, yeah, he got like a 4-year degree, but he always kind of pushed us to go for like masters or PhDs or become doctors or lawyers and all that. So they definitely had that traditional mindset, and they definitely had, that pushback in the beginning. Their first initial reaction was like, what? No, you're not going to leave and all that. Like, you just got the degree and all that, why leave? But again, just, from my internships or co-op experiences, I was like, this isn't the field for me. And, I see a potential, opportunity in digital marketing where, not only, it could be very lucrative, but I can actually enjoy the work that I do, that it can be very fulfilling. And that's what I've found in all that this last year or two in the digital marketing field. Like, I just, wake up smiling. I'm like, let's go, let's do it. Let me see where else I can help Lego and stuff. So it's been a crazy journey, and I really appreciate everything you've done for me, Seth, because if I didn't find your course or your YouTube videos and all that, like, I don't know where I would be. Like, I guess I might be back in that manufacturing, factory, huffing chemicals all day long and just hating every day and stuff. So no, yeah, it just, words can't describe, how much appreciation I have for you and, what you're doing and all that. So thank you, Seth.
You're welcome. That's great. I'm moved. Thanks for sharing all that with me. I think we said it all. I think you said it all really well. I won't re-summarize it, but I think the interview will resonate with a lot of people. Guys, yeah, you have a choice. I think that's kind of the takeaway here. It's like, you have a choice. It's your life. You have these options. You have more options now than your parents did. And that, that's something to think about too. With a little bit of compassion for people's parents, they want the best for you. They do love you, yeah, but they just don't understand what it's like now. Yeah. They're coming from a mindset that's like from the 60s, 70s, or the 90s. They don't understand digital marketing. So that can soften the blow a little. I think you probably had that awareness where you're like, you're not against them per se. You're just like, well, I'm just going to do, I'm just going to follow this path, which is more intelligent, and eventually they'll support me. And I'm so happy I could help you avoid a career like that where you wouldn't have been happy. Yeah. So anyway, man, thanks so much for sharing your story. I'm going to let you go. Let's stay in touch. Is it okay for people to reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And all that, reach out to LinkedIn and all that, Savier Kearns. And and I'm definitely help in the Facebook group and all that. If there's any questions and all that, DM me through Facebook as well. So yeah, wherever I can help and, spread, the generosity that Seth has, given to me and all that, I definitely want to spread it or give back to the community and stuff. So definitely.
Awesome, man. That's great. Thanks so much. And yeah, it was great chatting with you, and we'll stay in touch and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. Have a good one, Seth. Appreciate it.